Hi all, thanks for hanging in with us here. We had a little bit of delay. I hope you're able to find us. We lost our last broadcast and had to create a new one, so thank you for joining in. We're going to try to push out the URL to this, so hopefully we'll get viewers joining in. We're going to continue our conversation on Google Forms. We thank Kate for her introduction to the new Google Forms and all the things that we can do with it in the classroom. We appreciate looking at those templates and the ease in which they're trying to make using forms more practical in the classroom. And we're going to take a look at, without using the template, we're going to take a look at one way of doing that in our classroom. And I'm going to switch us over to my presentation so we can take, you can use that as your guide. So let's give me a second here. We do a little screen sharing, and we'll pull up this for you. Okay. So here it is, the presentation on using Google Forms for adaptive assessment, and I have a bit.ly there for you if you are interested in taking a look at the slide presentation itself. It's open to you, and you can have access to that at any time you wish. That's bit.ly SCOE DLD Google Forms, and we'll move on to I'll show that again at the end of the presentation. Your classroom may be making some transitions. You may be going from a classroom that is not quite the traditional setting anymore. You're using some flipped learning in your instruction. You're having kids watch videos maybe in the classroom or at home, and you want to check in with them to make sure that the learning that you're hoping takes place is actually taking place. Or maybe you have project-based learning going on in your classroom, and you're giving your kids some choice. They're picking directions in which they want to go. They're making sure that the learning is real to them. But along the way, you might be just a little bit nervous that possibly they're not getting some of the content that you're hoping that they grasp onto as part of their learning. So how do you make Google, which is a great formative assessment tool, also into a reteaching tool? So just in case they didn't get it, that they now have this opportunity to go back, take a look at the content one more time, so you can confidently allow them to move forward with their projects, their learning, their collaborative project that they might be doing, and just move on. So I'm going to show you how to use Google Forms as a reteaching tool as well. So we're going to start with a little quiz. You don't have to take the quiz, but I do have a link in the slideshow if you want to take a look at it. We're going to go over and take a look at a quiz on Bleeding Kansas. Bleeding Kansas is one of those areas of content that we have in 8th grade when we're studying on the movement west and what's happening in the territories in the central part of this country. Let's see if we can get this open a little bit bigger. Not really. But we can pretend that our students took a quiz or saw a video or maybe was learning some content. You want to make sure they actually understand what Bleeding Kansas is. So you give them a little Google quiz. And I'm going to take it. So I require that they put in their first name and last name. So this makes it easier for sorting in case I am actually putting this into a grade book. I want to make sure I can sort by last name so it aligns with my grade book. And I'm going to ask them a multiple choice question. It shows me either they got it or they didn't. So let's say I answered the question correctly. I know what Bleeding Kansas is. It was a battle between abolitionists and pro-slavery elements in the Kansas Territory. I click on that. I say next. And because I got the question right, there's no problem. I got it right. I'm going to go back and finish it, and I've been given instructions at the end to go on and work on my group project. Great. Let's say I get it wrong, though. So I'm going to go back to my form, to my quiz. Put in my name. And I get the question wrong. I don't know what Bleeding Kansas is. I think it was the Spanish-American War. I'm just taking a guess here. I don't know. Press next. Oops. Which next? And it's not moving on properly. It never fails. Because I was playing with the problem is I was playing with the quiz and I probably changed part of my directions. But that's fine because being we're a little bit short on time, I'm going to take you right into what I did when I got the question wrong. Oh yes, that's not right. You need to go on to the review. If I get the question wrong, go to the review. Okay. It's going to send the form again. Now this should work. Question wrong. Next. This is the cool thing. When I get the question wrong, it's going to bring up a video that I found on Bleeding Kansas that my students are going to be asked to watch. It's not a long video. I made sure I selected one that was just over 2 minutes. Put it in there and ask the kids to summarize. Give me 3 facts. They can give me 3 facts. Apples, oranges, and grapes. Submit the work. And now they can go on and work on their group project also. So by setting up your Google form properly, which I demonstrated that you can make an error there, you give the students an opportunity to see that content one more time, make sure that they did look at it correctly, they get the information correct, and then they can go on to working on their project. So what does that look like on the back end? I'm going to go to the form in Google Forms and show you just a little bit of how that works. So here's the questions. The first question, of course, is putting in your name. That's just a short answer question. And they have a little text box. And a last name, first name. And then the question itself. The question itself has to be a multiple choice question in order for you to set up a section and divert their answers in case they're right or wrong. To do that, you find that here in the little digital olives. You would check this, go to a section based on the answer. When you check that box, then up next to your responses that you type in, you have that opportunity to show them where they're to direct where it's going to go. If they get the question right, like the second one is, I would direct them to go to submit form. They're done. So I would click that. If they get the question wrong, I'm going to have them go to a section called Review. I need to create that section so they have some place to go, so it has some place to go. But you can see as depending on where they got, what answer they gave, is where you're going to go after they submit their response. And if they happen to fill in something under Other, it may or may not be right, but I'm going to have them go to the Review as well. The next thing we need to do is make sure we have that section for them to go to do the review. And that's we created by hitting this little equal sign here. This little equal sign is creates sections for you. Gives you an untitled section, and you can go in and add a video, and then go in and add your directions to them. I made an untitled section here. I'm sorry, I'm having a little difficulty scrolling. And I'm going to call this is the review section, to show you how it's done. I'm going to delete this question here because this is my original question. We don't need it anymore. I'm going to trash that. But what I am going to add is a video. So I'm going to go here to add video, and I'm going to do a little search. That's short, sweet, but gets some of the content that I need them to have. So let's see, it has a 5-minute video there. Here's John Brown in Bleeding Kansas. I believe this is the one I selected originally. I just check that, hit select. That puts in the video. You can title the video. And add that in, and then I'm going to add after that I'm going to add a question for them. The question is, list 3 facts from the video. This is not going to be a multiple choice. This will be a paragraph. I want to make sure they have enough space to answer that question. And there you go. Now you have the video You have the question, and then you're done. What's going to happen after that is you're going to get your responses. You can see I got both the right answer and the wrong answer here. So this is the first one I took. I got it right. This is the second time I did it. I got it wrong. You'll see the students that got it right and got it wrong. You'll also see their new responses in here with their review of the video, and that's what this apples, oranges, and grapes one was. I got the question wrong. I went and reviewed it. I give you my summary. As a teacher, I can then go in and say, okay, you got it wrong originally, but now he understands it, and we can move on. Yes, there is that opportunity, and I'll bring that up. There is that opportunity for your students when they're taking the quiz to hit the back button and go back and answer the question correctly. I mean, it is a multiple choice of only 2 responses, so you might want to throw a third one or a fourth one in there just to kind of mix them up a little bit. They don't want to sit there and just keep going back and forth. But that is sort of the risk you take with one of these quizzes. It does have a back button, and right now there's no way of getting around that. We did a little bit of research, and they are just sort of stuck with that back button in there. You can't remove it. There is just a couple of highlights, a couple of things I'd like you just to keep in mind. You make sure you use multiple choice. Make sure you check the little box down at the very bottom and the More's buttons to go to the answer, go to a page based on the answer. Make sure you give them something else to do in the confirmation page. You will have some students that will have it correct, and they're going to wonder what to do while the other kids are looking at the videos. So make sure they have an assignment ready to go and something to do once they're done. I've also attached a brief little video here for you made by another person on how to do this. They do a very nice job, but it is the old Google form, but you get the right idea, and the concept is basically the same. You just can adapt it into the new Google Forms. So that is it on adding video to help reteach in Google Forms. I hope you found that productive, and I hope thank you. I hope you were able to view it. We will have all these wonderful videos in our YouTube channel. We're going to take a break for a minute. I'm not going to press any fancy buttons so we don't lose anything. And we're going to bring Martine in for our next presentation. We'll be with you in just a second.
Oh, you know what? You have to put on there the banner.
Sure.
Let me just talk while I do this. You just
Sure.
talk and look pretty.
Hello, everyone. Letting my technical engineer set up our banner.
Oh, God.
That wasn't it.
That is our motto for today.
Oh, my gosh. Yay!
Okay. Does it matter if that's backwards?
It's backwards for you, but it's forwards for us.
Okay.
I promise.
Yep.
All right. I will believe you.
You have to trust us on that one.
Yeah, I will. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Santa Clara County Offices of Ed Educational Technology Teams Digital Learning Day. My name is Martin Cisneros. I am one of your academic technology specialists, and I am cleaning house. If you've been with us today, we've had Simplify Your Life with Digital Swiss Army Knife with Elizabeth Calhoun. We get to know your Google Forms with Kate Tolnai, and then of course we just finished up with Google Forms and flipping assessment with our very own Karen Larson. Once again, my name is Martin Cisneros, and today I'm going to take you through building your online classroom. So hope you're with us. Hope you're here for the next 45 to 50 minutes and experience some fun. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to switch to internal display. And let's see, I am now screen sharing. Hopefully you all can see this. And my topic for today deals with something that we do quite a bit here at the county office, and we're seeing this more and more throughout our region. Building your online classroom is a twofold, but before I get started, I want to make sure that you have the materials that we're going to cover, so you can get those materials. I posted those on the online notes through our events page, the original and the newer events page, the part 2 for today, but you can go ahead and grab those at bit.ly/DLD-BYOC. That's bit.ly/DLD/BYOC. So I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to go ahead and grab that. Play you a little drum roll while you do that. And I will come back to the slide at the very end in case you need these materials once again. So who are we? For those of you who haven't been with us throughout the whole day, we are a county office of education, and our primary job is to support our schools with their local educational initiatives. And a little bit about myself, I am a trainer. Oh, not that type of trainer, but this type of trainer. I've been in education for about I can now honestly say for over 20 years. And a large part of that component has been messing around. And I do say messing around with technology because for me, playing is learning. So I can honestly say that I've been messing around with EdTech since 1994. That's right, folks. That's before we had the internet in our schools and before we had stuff called mobile devices. But pretty much what do we do here? We are a group of 4, and we go out and we try to meet the professional development needs of our 31 school districts throughout our region, and we do a variety of different things, everything from one-session workshops to 3-day academies through full-blown online sessions that we do throughout the year. Our team consists of Elizabeth Calhoun as our manager, myself, Karen, and Kate are your academic technology specialists, and pretty much this is what we do on a regular basis, and we love to do what we get to do. We also provide some ongoing initiatives throughout the year, everything from TEDx to our own innovation academies, and we partner up with a lot of other statewide educational technology institutions, as well as local agencies that we have here in Silicon Valley. One of our obstacles here at the County Office of Education is that we do have quite a range of people that we serve, and every district is pretty much their own universe, as we like to call it. And when we're called upon to do these one-session workshops or multi-day academies or full-blown multi-week sessions is we try to figure out who our audience is, which can be quite tough. Sometimes we do have the opportunity to get some information about who will be in front of us, and that many times we do not. So like many of you who do professional development, or many of you who are leaders at your school site, sometimes it's pretty difficult to get everybody within the same realm. Trying to provide effective and engaging professional development can be quite difficult, especially when you don't know where their proficiencies lie. So that's also an obstacle for us. What we try to do is we try to do a lot of our sessions with the whole intent of doing some blended learning. We try to look at the school, district, sites, and classroom, or even grade level educational initiatives. So we might do everything from the rotation model all the way to enriched virtual models and everything in between. As we looked at research throughout the year, we find out that there are different ways to meet the needs of our teachers. And we definitely look at the reality of PD, what mostly school districts give, and of course the desires of PD, which is the feedback that we get from our participants. So what we try to do here is when we give professional development, we try to blend the reality versus desire. So what does that mean? That means that, of course, because we're expecting our students to grapple with new types of learning, we're also expecting our teachers to teach in a new and a different way, which means adult learning must reflect the personalization and competency-based learning that we expect of our students. So when we think about that as our universal foundation sets, what we try to think about is we try to think about everything that's going on in our schools. We try to look at Common Core. We try to look at 21st century frameworks. We try to think about, well, how is the best way that we can provide all these different resources and materials when we step up to any activity, whether it's a one-day or a multi-week type of session. We then start looking at pretty much what is it that we want our teachers, what is it that we want our leaders, what is it that we want our students to do. And we focus on that because that is our end goal. We then backtrack and try to plan activities and the face-to-face time to really meet those specific needs. So when we think about the process and we think about change and we think about what we need to do in our schools, we look at research, and research is now telling us that it takes approximately 50 hours to change instruction. So I want you to think about that for a moment. I want you to think about what type of professional development do you do personally to change your instruction. If you are a provider, how many opportunities do you give to your staff? On a daily basis, weekly, monthly, or yearly, if we know this is pretty much the standard. So if research is telling us that our folks, our ed leaders need and ed teachers need 50 hours to change instruction, where are they getting this professional development? Because if we're still looking at the old model of just looking at a few hours per month or per semester, we are missing the boat for quite a bit. So once you have that in place, you start to think about, well, there can't be just a one-time sit-down where they're in front of you for 6 hours. You try to think about, what are some multiple pathways? What are some multiple entry points? Not only because teachers need different times throughout the year, but you also have different levels of proficiency. So when we think about that, and when we start building our course, whether it's our one-day, multi-week, or multi-day or multi-week sessions, we start thinking about what is this course going to cover? What are the outlines? What defines the desired measurable? So in other words, what are the products that they're going to produce? And then, of course, what are the learning outcomes? Once we're able to sketch that out, we try to look for examples, something that probably they've already been used to. We start looking at their tool set, at their initiatives, and from there we start to look at instructional methods that best fit that need when we're face to face. So there's something that we struggle. I should say we struggle. Well, it is somewhat of a struggle because it's never the same session that we give on a weekly, monthly, or yearly basis. But one of the things when we think about putting these things together is what instructional method are you going to use? Because we know it's going to be a blended session. Do you think about doing most of your activity online or face-to-face? Well, we have to grapple with the time that we have with our participants. So this could mean very, very many things. So once again, we backtrack, we try to look at what is the outcome that we want, how much time are we going to have with our participants, and what is their proficiency, what is their knowledge on the subject. So this is where we kick off to organizing the course content and supporting materials. If we know it's going to be a multi-day, we separate the different days. We then dive into how many specific, whether it's going to be a specific subject, whether it's going to be a specific grade level. We try to think of it as, okay, if I am a teacher and I'm going to attend this session, what is the most that I can get out of the session? Whether I'm going to be with the instructor from the moment I get in to the moment I leave, or do I have enough knowledge that I can go on my own and I can explore other tools and processes and methods. So when we start looking at those different proficiencies, we start to plan, we start to organize our content, we start to look at what are some supporting materials that we can provide for participants who might be struggling learners, all the way to the participants who are pretty much doing very innovative stuff in their classrooms. So we, of course, go into looking at defining the course interaction, and then we start looking at assessment strategies. What are they going to produce at the end of this? And even though this original session is about a 2 or 3 hour session that I'm trying to bring down to about 50-minute session, so the first thing I'm going to tell you is that if you go back to the materials, you're going to see a lot of Easter eggs. So there's going to be a lot of great goodies. I produced a lot of QR codes and links that will give you a lot of examples to the things that I'm talking to you about at the moment. We talk about communications, but we really start thinking about the logistical considerations. We want to be aware of the technologies and the services and the support, not only that we have when we step up into a school district or a classroom, but also the technology that the teachers normally use. And I'm going to give you a great example. Today, I believe each and every one of us used a tool that we weren't used to. And this, once again, brings us light as, okay, what happens when you don't have the tools that you're used to, and the show still must continue? It's like a classroom, right? If your computer doesn't work, what are you going to do? So this is where the tools really come in. And the first thing I like to show people is, where do we, because where do you guys go? Or if I need a tool for community variety, I'm going to give you my journey, or part of my journey, I should say, just because of time. But I also want you to share, if there's a method that you would like to share, please put that in our notes at the bottom of our page to share some resources and ideas. But let me give you an example. I'm going to log out of here of the full space, and I'm going to go to, this is one of the documents that you'll find in the resources I provided for you. So I'm going to scroll down, and when it comes to choosing the right tool, there's a few resources that I like to go to. One of my favorite ones, or has been my favorite for quite a while, is the edtechteacher.org website. And here's the reason why. Many of our schools, as you probably know, are moving towards mobile devices when it comes to using gadgets in the classroom. We all know now, research now shows that we're now at 54% of all websites are now being viewed by mobile devices, which means less and less of our students are using regular desktops and even laptops to view a lot of content. So before we go in, here's where I like to look. So at EdTech Teacher, if you go down towards the center where it says How We Help, I like to scroll down to where it says App Recommendations for Mobile Devices. When I click in here, give it a few seconds, it asks me some very important questions, which I love. It asks me, where do you want to begin? Do I want to find apps by mobile device, or do I want to find apps by learning activity? So as an educator, of course, I gravitate more towards I want to find apps by learning activity. Click on here. And then it's going to ask me, what do you want your students to do? So in here, it gives you quite a bit of a great list, everything from recording and editing video all the way down to learning how to code. So let's just say, for example, you are looking for a resource or an app for your mobile device to collaborate. So I'm going to click on where it says collaborate. This is nice because now it asks me, what type of device are you using? And many of our schools are using a mixture of these devices, whether it's an iPad, Android device, laptop, or Chromebook. So I'm going to go towards laptop because laptop can either mean Apple or Windows. And actually, I'll rather go to Chromebook because that's what most people are using. And since it's a browser based, a lot of these tools can be used for the other devices as well. So once I clicked on Chrome, what it gives me a picture of a Chromebook, and then it gives me a list of tools that I can use. Once again, I had selected the type of tools that I'm looking for is for collaboration apps. And what I see here is off the bat, it gives me Evernote. So it gives me information about the app, the price, the ease of use, and then it gives you a scale of usefulness, right? We have Padlet's another one. So before if someone's looking for something really quick, I always recommend them to start here. One of the reasons why is because it really breaks it down by what is it that you want your students to do, what type of device that you have, and it also limits you to about 5 or 6 different tools for you to start off with. And what you're about to see, there's some other tools that give you, hundreds of other tools, but this is my starting point for folks. So if you're brand new to blending technology, to looking for resources without waiting for your next workshop or your next professional development, this is a great place for you to begin. Once again, this was the EdTech Teacher. And if you continue to scroll down, you get to see the overview of other collaborating tools. And what I like about it, you can then, of course, choose whether you want the ease of use of the app, the usefulness, with the type of device, and of course you can mix this around depending to suit your needs. The other one that I go to quite a bit is on it's Graphite by Common Sense Media. And the reason why I love Graphite is I like to use the Common Core Explorer, and I started using this quite a few years back when more and more teachers were trying to figure out how to connect certain instruction with certain technologies that they had access to in the classroom, especially looking at devices. So if I go here and I click onto Language Arts, I then select grade level, so I might choose 3rd grade here, and then I select the domain, so then I select Speaking and Listening. I can then look at the different standards in Common Core. Gives me a little bit of description about the standard, and then tells me how many products they have for that particular standard. So here I see that this first one has about 15. So I'm just going to go ahead and select to see what exactly is in there. And this gives me a better idea of what type of tools I can use. So once again, a big thing that we drill down is we first start off with what is the educational goal, what are your goals for either the lesson or the project that you're trying to do, and we try to backwards plan from there to see what best either gadget, tools, or resources fit. Once again, EdTech Teacher allowed us to do that by selecting the activity we want with our students, then selecting the mobile device, and then giving us a few choices. Graphite does a really great job of looking at the standards first, looking at what is it that you want to target, and then giving you some ideas. Once you get to for this section, for example, once you select the standard, once you see what products they have in here, when you look at the product, they'll tell you whether or not it's a website or an app. If it's a website, I'll tell you the grades that this pertains to, the price, platform. So if you see platform NA, meaning that's a website, meaning that if your gadget has a web-enabled browser, you more than likely have access to the resource. You then have a rating of the Graphite rating and the teacher ratings, because there's many teachers who also come in here and provide their information as well. So I like this quite a bit because this gives me another opportunity to explore different types of apps and resources as I'm planning. And like any other teacher, at first you want to start off with one, and if it doesn't work out, that's the beauty about these different tools, especially the free ones, is basically what you're doing is you're building schema for yourself, you're building schema for your students every time you try a different tool. So I'm not going to go too much into Graphite, but understand that Graphite is here for you for that type of information. And the other thing I'm going to point out about Graphite, something that I enjoy looking at quite a bit, are the lesson plans or the lesson flow. So you can look at these once again through the different domains of English language arts all the way through social studies, and look at how other teachers are blending technology. So if you're brand new once again to learning how to blend technology, to blend different tools into your instruction, these are great examples of how to get started. And like I said, you'll find a lot of gems here. You can browse by subjects, and on the left hand side even for English language learners, and you can also select by grade. So that's Graphite. So once again, just to recap, we're choosing the right tool. We're giving you some options about the tools that we personally use in order to go find out what is the best tool for the right job. So we went over EdTech Teacher, we went over Graphite. Another one that we use quite a bit is EdSurge. And many of you subscribe to either their podcast or their newsletter, but EdSurge also has a great tool. Let's see. This does not look like my computer, so I don't know where it's at. Let's see. Product reviews. I think it might be the big guy. Yeah, so it's the product index. So once again, where did I go? I went to edsurge.com. Once again, I'm using this sheet, which has all of our resources for today. And I went directly to EdSurge, and once you get to EdSurge, at the very top you're going to see product reviews. So in here you get to see the different product reviews that they have gone through, and these are vetted not only by the staff at EdSurge, but also by educators throughout our nation. And what I like about this as well is you get to go in here. So say for example, if I'm looking for ways to create games or digital storytelling, or maybe I'm looking for presentation tools or tools for special ed. So I'm going to go in here to what the section where it says teacher needs. You see it has how many products, and then it breaks it down by category. So I'm going to go directly to where it says collaboration tools, just to keep it in the same theme. And I want you to see the inside of this. So in here, once again, you get to see just a snapshot of what the tool is, whether there's a price to it. So I'm going to select Course Kicker here. And when you select a resource, it gives you, of course, all the information you would want. How many educator reviews, there's 60 of them, how many stars in average did they give, an overview of it, and other related apps. So this is the other nice thing I love about EdSurge, is they give you other different tools. If this is not the right fit for you, they give you some other ones that might fit the educational goal that you're looking for. So I'm going to stop there, but the other few that you might want to look at during your time, you might want to look at EdTech Review and Edutopia. So these are other two resources that we use quite a bit when we're personally researching tools and resources for online content. Once again, if you have any that you personally use that you believe that everyone should know about, please make sure you add that to the notes at the bottom of our event page. I'm going to head back to our presentation. And if you're just continue to look at our presentation slide deck, I also provided that information on this QR code and the URL that you see on the slide. Well, once we gather the information, what we try to do is, if we do have materials which are downloadable materials, which are there either might be PDF, presentation decks, docs and forms and so forth, we of course use Google Apps for Education, and we primarily use Drive. Drive is what we like to call our digital backpack in a way, because that's where we pretty much store everything. And instead of us printing out paper and organizing it into folders, what we do is we build websites using Google Sites, which we'll get into in a moment, and show you how we develop that component. So we'll get back to both Drive and Sites in a moment, but I wanted to move forward because if your school is still on the edge of whether or not they should move over to Google Apps for Education, at the top of my head, I can't think of any school who hasn't jumped over.
Or there's some schools that are in camps, Microsoft Camp and Google Camp. There are.
Yeah, there's even Zoho. I've seen a few high schools who have gone that way. But yes, but it's something you might want. It's something that you might want to think about. And if you want to continue this conversation, I will be more than happy to continue this conversation. But this is a graph that I like to use about reasons why, and there's multiple. I think that's another 3-hour session we can do as far as why you should be using this great free suite. So from there, we look at what many of our schools are using to host all this information. Like I said before, we personally use Google Sites, and we use another LMS for our online courses. But what I did here was I provided a sheet that we use when we try to look at the different features of the different learning management systems that most of our schools are using. So you see everything in here from Edmodo, MyBigCampus, Schoology, Canvas, Haiku, Blackboard Learn, and of course Moodle, that many of our schools are still running their own Moodle camps at their sites. But what we did here was we created a really great sheet, so if you're still on the verge of deciding what learning management, this is a great sheet for you to use to look at the different comparisons, everything from, does this learning management system connect with your student information system, all the way down to, what is the user interface, what's the management like. So anyways, highly recommend giving this a view if you have not decided what learning management systems, or you're in search of a better learning management system that you currently have. Here at the County Office of Education, we were using a Moodle instance prior to last summer? Right. So prior to summer of 2015, we were using a Moodle instance, and it did have a lot of great features, but we needed something a little bit more robust, and we pretty much fell in love with Canvas. And to be honest, if I go back, I'm going to go back to the slide. If I go back here and I look at the different learning management systems that we have up here, we pretty much done all of these. I'm trying to think of it. Is there one? Probably MyBigCampus is the only one I haven't done a full course on. But I've done a full course on Edmodo, Schoology, Canvas, Haiku, Blackboard, and definitely Moodle. I have to say, when push comes to shove, and you just need stuff to work, the online version, even the free online version, I believe there's an online version that you can get up to, I believe, 3 to 5 different classes on there, and I believe the limit's 100 students. So anyways, something for you to look at if you're still looking at learning management systems. And the one that is not on there, just because Google doesn't call it a learning management system, but if you are part of the Google Apps for Education suite, we also highly recommend that you look at Google Classroom. Google Classroom is not as full-featured as many of these, but it has a lot of the things that makes your life easier when it comes to providing online and blended content for your students. So now it's like what I like to call it showtime. I want to show you what's the process that we go through. So we talked a little bit about what we normally do, but when it comes down time to start putting it together, what does that look like? So I'm going to quickly look at the time. So this is perfect. We're about the halfway mark, so this is great timing. So I'm now going to go back, and I'm going to go back to a sheet, a Google Docs that I provided at this particular link. Once again, that link is bit.ly/DLD-BYOC. And in there, you're going to see a Google Doc. and you'll see the doc's name is called DLD 2016. When you open that up, you're going to see a lot of the information I've been talking to you about today. So we talked about learning management systems. I said, we're pretty much in love with Canvas, but we do highly recommend the other ones as well because they all do a really great job. It's just really what's best for your audience. But when it comes down to the tool set, when we start building, we talked about Google Drive as being our digital backpack and Google Sites, which we're going to get to in a moment. But prior to that, I started thinking about, well, how do you start to curate the information you're going to need? Because this is when sometimes we have to hold ourselves for going into a rabbit hole because it's really easy to do, as you all know. So we try to focus. So here's some of the tools that we use, and it's become a norm to set these tools up in any Google instance that we use. So understand this: at first, we use Google Chrome as our preferred web browser. And what I'm about to show you are some extensions or some online tools that we use in order to make our lives as educational researchers a little bit easier. So the first one, let me explain to you. So if you're here, there's two ways of doing this. You can either go to the Chrome Web Store, and you do that by going to chrome.google.com/web store, and then you can just add the name of the extensions that I'm talking to you about here at the top left. Or if you are currently in this sheet, all you have to do is just click on the link of the specific extension that I'm talking about, and then it'll automatically take you there. So first things first, I'm going to give you my what I call my top list for curation here. The first thing I like to do is I like to add AdBlock Plus. So what does this extension primarily do? What this pretty much does, and I have a little synopsis of what each extension does here, but pretty much blocks ads from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and pretty much everywhere else that you normally surf to on your website. So I love this because sometimes I need to be focused, and I'm human just like everyone else. Sometimes I will get distracted by other advertisements. So whether I'm doing this for myself or if I'm presenting this in front of a classroom, I would love to have as many ads stripped from my view as much as possible, so I highly recommend adding AdBlock Plus. For those of you who are new to adding extensions, it's not that difficult. So here, the few things you need to know first. First and foremost, you must be using Google Chrome as your web browser. Number two, make sure you're signed in to your Google Chrome web browser, and this is how you know whether you're signed in or not. At the top right, you're going to see your settings. The specific name for this, I do not know, but I love to call these my digital hot dogs. Up here at the top right that you're going to see on your Google Chrome web browser. I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go down to where it says More Tools, and then you can then go to where it says Extensions. Where you get your extensions, this is the place where you're going to see where all your extensions are connected, right? And then whether you want to delete them later on or enable them, you can do that here. But if you want to go to the Chrome Web Store, you can also click here at the bottom under Extensions where it says Get More Extensions, and this will take you directly to the Google Chrome Web Store. At the top left, you're going to see that you can search for apps, games, extensions, and themes. All I'm talking to you about at this moment are extensions. So how do you install them? Well, what you want to do is, and I'm going to go ahead and see if I can do this one on this machine. So here is another extension that I highly recommend besides AdBlock Plus. This one's called Black Menu for Google. Okay? And if I'm at the Chrome Web Store, I'm going to type in Black Menu. That's if I can type. Black Menu. And when you click on Black Menu, you're going to see that gives you the first three choices of apps first, and then down here at the bottom or in the middle of your screen, you're going to see extensions. I see Black Menu for Google. I'm going to select that tool, and then you get a little synopsis of what this tool does. And at the top right, you're going to see a big blue button that says Add to Chrome. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and click on Add to Chrome. You're then going to get another little window that says Add Black Menu for Google. So I'm going to click on the button that says Add Extension. So I'm going to do that now. And when I click on that, if you're looking at my screen, what you're going to see, it automatically adds that extension or that tool to right next to my Omnibar, which is the place where you add the address to whatever website you're looking for. So if you see all of these up here at the top, these are all extensions that we're currently using. So this is the one that I just finished installing. It's called Black Menu. The reason why I like Black Menu is because I can be pretty much anywhere on the internet, and if I need to get to one of my Google tools, I can click on Black Menu, and I will get a quick drop-down menu that allows me to go to any of my Google tools that I have. So anything from Drive to YouTube, Maps, Translate, and down here you have a button that says More. So when I click on More, this is what I get. Actually, let me try that one more time. So I'm going to click on Black Menu, and when I scroll down here to where it says More, you're going to see all these different pages add up. So I have Classroom, Chrome apps, Docs, and if I want to, I can change these to be on this side, so it could be just a quick drop down. And the way you do that is if you go up to the icon where it says Black Menu, do a right click on the very top, and you want to go down to Options, and when you go to Options, it's going to take you to this window. And basically what you do here is you move the services you want on your drop-down menu, you move them over to this right list. So if I wanted Classroom, I could just click on Classroom. It's going to bring Classroom over here, and then I can just drag it to the position of where I want this these different things to pop up. So I can say Chrome apps here. I'm going to go to Docs, Sheets, Slides, Forms. You can do Hangouts, Inbox, and I'm just going to go to have Sites, because I always like having Sites, because that's where I do most of my building. And then News can go on that, and that's about it. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So now, once again, if I click on that Black Menu, I'm going to see my web tools automatically appear as how I want them, and once again I can rotate or move them around however I like. So that's Black Menu, and I do that because I'm quickly either creating a Google form or creating a Google Doc, and when I'm creating content for my online classroom, I want to make sure that I can get to my content as quick as I possibly can. The other extension that I highly recommend for you to install, it's called Save to Google Drive, and it does exactly what the name suggests. So if you're out and about, and if you're looking at other documents that other people have produced, or if you're looking at PDFs and you just want to save it, the easiest way is for you to click on it, and it'll automatically save it to your Google Drive. Another one that has become a great resource for me when I'm trying to send information is called Send from Gmail. So what this extension also does, it does the exact same thing as the name applies to. You can send pretty much any single website from your Google Chrome web browser through your Gmail. So I'm going to go ahead and install it so you can see what that looks like. And add the extension. So if I'm back here and I'm at the original event page for today, and I want to share this event with a friend of mine, I can go up to the top, and I'm going to click on that extension that says send this link with Gmail. I'm going to choose that and pop up this wonderful little window. I'm going to sign in first. Oh, we do not do email, that's right. Sorry about that. I cannot use email on this particular machine, but you saw how, if you're looking at my screen, you're seeing how it works. So I'm just going to do it again. I'm going to click on it. You would have then, of course, log into your Google account, but it would automatically put the URL of the web page automatically on your email that you can send to anyone right away. So it's a really great tool that we use quite a bit. Another one that makes our lives a little bit easier is URL shorteners, right? And many of you who work with Google Apps, you understand that if you're sharing a document or a slide deck or a form, Google gives you that wonderful 68-character URL, and you're thinking, wow, how am I going to send this to folks, and are they going to remember all those wonderful characters? So here's how the URL shortener works. I'm going to go ahead and install that. And now it's installed. Looks like a little vice grip over here at the top right. I'm going to go back to our event page. So now if I want to click on this URL shortener, I'll click on it, and here's what it gives me. It takes this very long URL, and then it just shortens it to goo.gl/ and then the suffix that you see here. If I want to, I can copy it to my clipboard, or I can also generate a QR code if I want to print this out and print it for folks. So I use this quite a bit sometimes as well for, if I know students are going to be using mobile devices, I would definitely add this this QR code to my site, which you'll see in a moment. But I love this tool for that reason. It makes my life a lot easier, is to shorten any URL that's too long for me to repeat to my students or too long for anybody to write down. Another one that I love to use when it comes to organizing and curating information is, here's my overall plan. When I'm out and I'm doing some research, I normally think about two things. Okay, is this just a resource, a website that I'm going to use probably later on? Then I somewhat or some way want to bookmark it. If it's a resource like a document presentation, I know I want to save it. And where does most of my stuff go? Most of the stuff, PDFs, documents, presentations, all that stuff goes into my Google Drive. So here's how I split the two. If I know it's going to be a resource like Graphite, like the EdTech Teacher, I put that into Evernote. Why? Because Evernote travels with me wherever I go. I can create a folder on Evernote just like Google Drive, but the other thing that I love about Evernote is Evernote follows me wherever I go. So whether I'm using my computer, whether I'm using my smartphone, whether I'm using my tablet, I can pretty much add, edit, copy, send that information to students, peers, parents, whomever I like from anywhere. So once again, Evernote for bookmarks, Google Drive for actual content. So PDFs, documents, presentations, and that's how I split the two as I'm curating information, and you'll see how that works when we start putting our site together. Another wonderful product that was introduced to me about a year ago that I also continue to use quite a bit is called Pocket. And I've incorporated Pocket into my daily search of information for whatever training is coming up next. And the way I use Pocket is pretty much like we use our pockets on our clothing. If it's something that one of my colleagues here sends me, or if it's something that I see on social media, or something that I see as I'm doing research online, and I don't have enough time to really dive into it, I click on Pocket, and Pocket once again is an extension that once you register and you click on it, it'll send it directly to your Pocket account. And what I do is I throw stuff in Pocket that I know I'm going to look at by the end of that week. So here's how it works. So let's pretend Karen sends something to me throughout the week. And at that point when she sends it over, I know it's in my email, but I don't want to leave it there, because if I leave it there, then it becomes lost in the thousands of emails we get per week. So what I do is I click on the resource, and then I put it in Pocket. That to me signals that I know I'm going to get to that later on this week. So as I go throughout my regular work week, whether I'm teaching, whether it's online, whether it's a face-to-face session, it doesn't matter. I know that if I need something, a tool that I just learned this week, I can go to Pocket and look at it. Well, if I don't get to it by Friday, and then for me it usually lands on Saturday or Sunday, or probably even Monday of the following week, where I go to Pocket first and I just comb through the stuff that's in there, and then I tell myself, if it's a good resource, it's going to Evernote. If it's a document type of resource, then it's going into my Google Drive. And those are my three different sections of how I start to curate and then start to organize my information. Pocket first, then if it's a bookmark, Evernote. If it's a document, Google Drive. Really simple. During this time of research, I sometimes go into places where I don't understand the language, and this is where this other tool comes really great and handy. It's called Google Translate, and it does exactly what you think it does. So if you come across a website that has a language that you normally don't tell Google to translate, say for example, for most of us here, we have a default to read everything in English. But let's just say, for example, you come across and it's a language that you don't know. Google will automatically kick in and say, "Oh, we found out that this is blank 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 language. Would you like us to translate this to English?" And with the click of a button, you can then translate whatever you have on your screen into the language that you do understand. So this is really great. As far as learning information from outside your norm, and what I mean by that is outside of your first language. The next two are ones that I currently started using as part of my curation process. The first one is called MakeGIF, and I love making GIFs for a variety of instructional purposes. But if you're new to GIF, basically it's a mix between a moving picture or a movie and a picture. So most of us use different screencasting tools, and I'm going to recommend two in a moment. But some of you create instructional materials that lives primarily on a Google Doc. And if you use a Google Doc, or if you use Microsoft Word or any other online word processing document system, you quickly understand that you can add pictures, you can add links, but you cannot add a movie. And this is where GIFs really come in handy, because GIF is a moving picture. So think of it as a 20-second movie that it's made up by 20 or 30 different frames of pictures placed together. And so it creates like a little movie, but still a moving picture. The only thing you don't get out of a GIF is sound. So you don't get sound out of it. And there are plenty of websites, and even for those of you who use mobile devices, there are plenty of apps that allow you to create GIFs. But what I like about MakeGIF, and I'm going to go ahead and just install it really quick so I can show you. What I love about this is that it can be, you can create a GIF off of a video. So many of us love to use video from YouTube or SchoolTube or Vimeo or where other resources you get videos from, and you know that you can't download the video because it's embedded, or you just don't know how to download the video. Well, you can use MakeGIF to video capture whatever's going on that video and turn it into a GIF. It'll automatically save it, and then you can use that for your instructional materials. You can use it for your website. So I really see that as it being very useful. The last one I'm going to show you on this curation is, if you're installing these as I'm going, what you quickly are finding out is that after a while you're going to get a lot of extensions, and sometimes you're thinking, wow, I don't have enough space. So here's what happens first of all. So if you're looking at my screen at the moment, you're going to see that the more I add, the more this Omnibar, which is our URL bar, it keeps on getting shorter and shorter. So I'm going to click this and just move this towards the right-hand side. And the extensions don't necessarily disappear, but here's what they do. If you look really closely at the far right of your Chrome web browser, you're going to see these little carrots. If you click on the little carrots, you can just see that the other extensions then become part of this long list. Well, I like using this next extension. It's called Extensify. And what Extensify allows you to do, it allows you to quickly enable and disable Google Chrome extensions, right? So I love this because sometimes I know for whatever project that I'm working on, I don't need everything turned on. And I will tell you this, that once you hit the 30 mark, and what I mean by the 30 mark is once you have like around 30 extensions, your Google Chrome web browser might start to act a little funny. So I like to go in here, and then what this allows you to do, this allows you to, just by clicking on any one of this, I'm going to click on Google Tone here, you see it gray out, and what that does, it turns that particular extension off. So if you ever find yourself that, oh, I don't need all of these on at the same time, you can go in here and it does it both for extensions and apps that you have added to your Google Apps for Education Enterprise. So once again, that is Extensify. All right, looking at the time here, so I'm going to quickly move forward about how do you put the stuff together. So we use video quite a bit. We use video for instructional purposes. We also use a lot of video for feedback. Two of our favorite tools that we love to use for doing this is their screencasting tools that allow you to capture and annotate screenshots, screencast, which are video, and even create GIFs. So the first one, and my favorite one out of the group, is Snagit by TechSmith. And here's the reason why I love Snagit. I'm going to go ahead and just go to my Google Drive here. And here's something that we do quite a bit. So once I get into my Google Drive, if I need to create a screenshot here for my instructional website, I'm going to click on Snagit, and what I'm going to do is I now have the opportunity to either take a screenshot of the region of just what's visible to my eye right now on the screen, and I love this third option, which is scrolling. So if you ever had to take a picture of a website that is too long for you just to take the face picture of, what this will do, this will automatically scroll through the full website and probably take about 4 or 5 pictures, and then it'll stitch it all together into one JPEG. So I love this part, right? So I'm just going to do regions just so you can see it here. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag, let it go. So this is the component, or this is the section I want to take a picture of. I'm going to hit the little camera here, and this is where Snagit really comes in handy. So I'm going to click on Allow. So in here, if I say offline 1, so if I want to tell folks where to go to set up their offline access, you see how easy it is for me to go ahead and create these overlays, right? So you're seeing that I can move this if I wanted to, and once I have, and I can add more squares, I can add more arrows or circles or whatever I want. Down here at the bottom, I now have a choice. I have the choice of either grabbing the link or downloading that particular screenshot. Why would I want to do this? Here is an example. So let's pretend that I'm doing a how-to instructional document for my students or my participants. So in here, as we talked about before, you cannot add a video to a Google Doc, but you can add a picture. Well, to make this a little bit more lively, I did some annotation here, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the link. What's nice about Snagit is whatever you do, whether it's a picture or a movie or a GIF, as you're going to see in a bit, it'll automatically save this to a Google folder that is called TechSmith Snagit. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and insert image, and through a Google Doc, you can insert by either uploading, taking a snapshot, or by URL. I'm going to use the URL, and I'm going to paste that here. And then what you're going to see here is you're going to see that automatically embedded into that Google document, right? So that is pretty slick, but what if I told you that I can do the following with Snagit as well? I'm going to take that very same thing, but this time I'm going to create a video. So I'm going to use the screen here. I'm going to allow that to happen. Internal display. So now I'm going to show folks that you need to go here to the cog, go to settings, and scroll down to where it says sync docs and sheets for offline use, and click on done. And once I'm done doing that, I am going to stop my Snagit here. And then I'm going to name it. When I do so, I can either save this as, so now I'm going to show folks that I can save this as a video, and it gives me the opportunity to either copy the Google Drive link, so then I can email this to anyone. I can post this on my learning management system. I can email it, as I said. I can also send this up to YouTube, but here's my favorite. My favorite is to create an animated GIF, right? So when I click here where it says animated GIF, what it's going to do is going to compress that particular movie, and it's going to create an animated GIF out of that movie. So here's one thing that you do have to know about creating GIFs on Snagit is no matter what you create, no matter what type of movie that you create, it has to be less than 20 seconds. How do you know that? You have the timer down here. So if this thing says less than 20 seconds, you are in you're in the good. So just make sure that no matter what video you're going to use in order to create a GIF, it always must be under 20 seconds. If it's anything over 20 seconds, it'll just go ahead and create a movie for you. So here I'm going to go ahead and grab the link to this GIF. I'm going to go back to my Google Doc over here, and I'm going to go through and do the same thing I did with the picture. I'm going to go to Insert, Image, by URL, paste the GIF there, give it some time, and look at this. So now you have a moving picture, which means that I could have done about 4 or 5 of these, or just create one GIF that pretty much tells the story of what I need my students to do. Okay? And that's, in a nutshell, TechSmith Snagit allows you to do quite a bit with that just one extension. Just because of time, I won't have time to go over Screencastify, but the only other reason I would use Screencastify versus Snagit is it allows you to do similar to what we're doing here on the Google Hangout. It allows you to screen capture yourself by turning on the front camera of your device and at the same time capture what's going on your screen on your computer, so that way you'll have the dual mode. And then of course you can either paste this onto your Google site, your learning management system, or whatever online space you're using for your students. Wow, we're almost out of time. So we're going back down to graphics. So pretty much what I put down here in graphics are a few things. My favorite tool at the moment to create graphics for all of our online content is a website called Canva. If you have not used Canva, I highly suggest you go after this session and go play around with Canva. The reason why I love Canva is because, number one, it's free. Number one, as you can see, I'm trying to sign in with Google. But what it also allows you to do, it allows you to create content fairly quickly. And give me some time here so I can show you. So as you can see here, it allows for multiple types of designs, everything from social media to presentations to blogs and graphics, infographics, and everything in between. This is my primary place where I go to pretty much put stuff together because it's pretty much drag and drop. So I'm just going to quickly click on social media so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But in here, think of it as InDesign and Photoshop for the masses, right? As you can see, these are all different layouts that you can quickly change the font, the color, the picture in the background. You can upload your own pictures for free. You can grab them from Facebook or just upload them from stuff that you have on your computer. And what I love to do is this is where I now come and create my graphics, whether they're buttons for my website, whether they're flyers, whatever it is that I need to. And when I'm ready to download, I can download these as a high-quality image for the web or for PDF, which includes any links that you have in there and so forth. Gosh, we're really out of time now, aren't we? All right, so let me just wrap up with this one last tip about using this for sites. When people create their websites, sometimes one of the questions I get quite a bit is how do we create banners? And here's where I tell folks, my go-to banner site is 900 by 300. The reason why that is the sweet spot, especially since we pretty much build all of our sites or online text content on Google Sites. And the 900 by 300 is a sweet spot because it allows us to create our website width at least 1,000 pixels for the width. And the 900 allows us to pretty much make it look good whether you're viewing this on a desktop, laptop, but specifically for mobile devices as well. So highly recommend you try out Canva for all of your photo and digital designs. And I have so much to say, but they have a very great lesson index here in Canva, so if you want to dig in more and see how other teachers are using it, they do have some lessons for you here in Canva. But with that, folks, I'm going to have to say goodbye because that is our time. The only component I didn't get to go to is taking you through our ins and outs of how we put together a Google site, but that is in our notes. I do have a step-by-step with that as well. But I hope you enjoyed your time with us. I know we did, even though we had some technical difficulties. But if you would like for us to share some other information or maybe there's stuff that we didn't get to share, please connect with us. You can visit us at www.seccoe.org/edtech. This is our team. And with that, we say thank you and have an awesome rest of your day.